My involvement with Shire Ministry has been going to India for 4 years now, in 2011, 12, 13, and 14. Well, I can only speak to Shire's ministry in India on a first-hand basis, and it's a ministry to widows and orphans. Widows over there are sometimes turned out by their families, and they're on the street and begging, and they're shunned by society, and orphans are begging at railroad stations and so on, and so he's taken both in. The Lord uses that ministry to bring in widows who probably come from a Hindu background, orphans who probably come from a Hindu background, and so their physical needs are provided for, and the gospel is also presented to both. And so many of them come to know the Lord just by having care shown to them. Discipleship means following Christ, where He would direct us, using our gifts and the opportunities that we have. Well, I can tell that Don is a very gifted trumpet player. My wife tells me that I'm tone deaf, so I really can't speak to any great extent, but his music is well received, even in a different culture. Well, it does. We enjoy the music in India. There'll be children, the orphans, that sing and dance, and we can't understand their words when they sing in Telugu is their language, and they can't understand us either. But the music is appreciated on both ways. Well, there's a number of ways. My wife and I, in 2012, decided to support 4 orphans over there that were adopted into pastors' families. That's a program that Don started that year, and so that's one way they can support his orphanage ministry. They can support his widows ministry. This is just India I'm talking about. Well, the prayer support, for instance, his Facebook will have many opportunities for needed prayer, various people and ministry. The financial support, there's support can be for the widows' homes, for the orphanage, and also for you can support the adoption of children into pastors' families. One thing I would say in regard to that, it's a tremendous thing for these kids to be brought into the orphanage, but it's equally as much of another movement when they're adopted into leave the orphanage and adopted into a family. Why I do what I do is in the year 2000, my youngest son was over in India, and he invited my wife and I over there as he was teaching in a university in India. He invited my wife and I over as tourists, so that's where I first got exposed to India. I would have liked to have gone back as a tourist again, but my wife didn't want to, and so when Don Shire had this opportunity, I thought it was, for me, I thought it was really the Lord's leading, and it's being a tourist is entirely different than going to a ministry opportunity. I would say that if you ever go on one of these trips, it really is a blessing and an encouragement to the Christians over there. I don't think that where we go that Christians are persecuted, but they're discriminated against. They're in a very definite minority. So it's a blessing to them, and it's a blessing to me, and it changes you. You don't come back the same.
you know of a ministry that we need to know about, please give us a call, 888-641-8606, or take a look at our website, revelationstv.org.